guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who do not know, I am Allie and today's video is Update on Our Family episode 2. So I have quite a bit of notes on this one, so we're going to try and get through it as quickly as I can. I do want to put like 2 disclaimers before we begin. I do want to say at the end of each episode, because I don't think I mentioned it yesterday, that Micah and James have declined to comment. So I feel like I need to say that for legal purposes because of the fact that it's in the documentary. And the second thing that I will say is I'm going to get a little heated towards the end. Please bear with me, okay? Okay. So it picks up right where we left off, where Hannah talks about how they were basically giving everybody everything, you know, all the breadcrumbs, all the things, right, in regards to the adoption, with Huxley, pictures, updates from the orphanage, so on and so forth. And then Huxley became the main character in this. In this, we also meet Hannah and her wife, who found Micah and James through going through their own adoption journey. I do like that they mention here when they're talking to Hannah and they're talking to her wife that it is a process and that there's paperwork and there's vetting and there's all these things, because I don't think people realize that, because I didn't realize that, because I'm not adopted and I don't really know anyone adopted, and the only adoption reference that I have is for those of you that watch Teen Mom and Tyler and Carly's semi-open adoption, I'm sorry, because that's what the paperwork says. But that's the only adoption reference that I have. And then Hannah said it really, really helped her in her own adoption journey, and it really kept her going because it is a process and it is a lot for all sides, which is also important to mention here. Then they show a clip of Micah sharing a video about how there's 4 doctors involved and that there is something neurological going on with Huxley, and she seems to be confident. The staffers share the entire process, Hannah says. The first time, she also mentions how the first time they meet Huxley, it's hard to watch because it's clear that Huxley is older and that he does have a bond with his foster mom. And it's hard because because you're happy for Micah and James, but there's also a sense that Huxley is losing something. And James's response video is really emotional reaction to it and all that. And they do talk to Hannah during this where she says that, like, you always feel prepared as someone who's adopting, but you're never really prepared for everything. And I feel that can be said across the board when it comes to parenting, in my opinion, as a mom. You can, never be ready for everything that comes your way. And in the end of this, I'll explain that a little bit further with me. Then we meet Cameron, who provides mental health services to adoptees and families. He said a lot, but something I want to highlight that he said is that he says this is important in his work with families who adopt, because he works with adoptees, families, everyone, is their willingness to say, I don't know everything, and maybe love is enough. And I think that that's just important if you're going to be adopting, in my opinion. Hannah says that there's many sides to adoption. There's her side, her wife's side, her child's side, all the things. And that she says how the staffers really felt this push-pull to share, but also keep things private. And then they talk to family vloggers who say that, like, if you don't do an aggressive title and make it dramatic, the algorithm doesn't favor you. And that, for me, just doesn't sit well as a parent. Like, I don't see how you can, like I get it. It's your job and you're documenting your children, which that's a separate conversation that we can have about whether or not you should be doing that. But you also have to make an aggressive title. Like, that just doesn't sit well with me. So that's just my opinion. And then people started to notice, so there was a lot that people started to notice that, like, it was a hard year and that there were some tough times. And then they started to notice that when the staffers chose to start documenting Huxley's medical issues, that James was really stepping up and Micah seems to be checked out. Like, James is taking him to his 5 to 6 hour appointment. Micah's not there. She's really starting to appear to check out. Hold on one second. Okay, we'll be right back. I thought my kiddo needed something and I don't share him on the internet. And they start to notice that, like, James is stepping up. He's going to the 5 or 6 hour appointment, like I said. And Micah seems really checked out. And the trolls start commenting these things like she's lazy, she's this, she's that. And Micah gets defensive and says she's a damn good mom. And Hannah brings up a good point here. Like, as a parent, if I'm making a decision and you don't like it, like, screw you. As a mom, totally understand that. Totally on board with that. We as parents are doing the best we can. But then it shows us a draft ad, which was super duper weird. It talks about how, she was using it to bond, and it gives you that fresh newborn baby smell, and she's holding him in his face. It was just a weird ad. And I'm really surprised that draft would be a part of that. But now that I've done a lot of research on draft, switching to low tox and non-tox living, I'm not shocked that they did this. And then after that, during this time, Hannah announces that they want to adopt again, which it's been about a year since they brought Huxley home. And then there's also a pregnancy announcement. But also during this time, their channel takes off and their lifestyle really changes. They get a new house, they grow into Disney, they're doing all these things, right? And I will say that, like, she does a pregnancy announcement with James, and it does look really, really staged. Like, she gets down on one knee, like she's asking him to marry him, and like gives him a pacifier. Like, it's a whole weird thing. And then Sean, who is the YouTube guy from Think ID, he does an interview with Micah that didn't age well, where he asks her like about a failure that she has, and she brings up like adopting Huxley, and it's not like a failure, but it was hard. So that was, he said it was clear that like there might be some things going on like internally with her at the time, and it's clear things were getting hard for the Stoffers. Like Hannah said, that's very clear, it was getting hard. This is where I get mad. Okay, so then they share the diagnosis. I have no issues with them sharing the diagnosis. Some people do, some people don't. He's level 3 autistic. He has ADHD. He may live with you for the rest of his life. He may never be potty trained, and Micah breaks down and feels like a failure as a parent. Whew, I'm gonna get through this without crying. As a parent with a newly diagnosed autistic level 3 child, and I rarely share this, I know how she feels in that moment. That, like, I did everything right with my pregnancy. I did everything right. And then I had to have an emergency C-section, and I went down this rabbit hole of like, my C-section, it was my fault, the whole thing, right? So it breaks my heart that she's crying, because I know how she feels, and in that moment, I did have sympathy for her. In the documentary, I really did have sympathy for her, because I know how hard it is. It's hard. I'm learning. I'm still learning. I'm trying. I'm doing everything I can, but it's still hard. And I know how hard it is, and I know it's not easy, and I know the emotions it takes, but that does not excuse her actions in episode 3. I want to make that abundantly clear. Her actions in episode 3, the choices they make in episode 3, the choices they make after this announcement, does not make my sympathy for her in this video about learning these things give her any license to do what she's doing. Did not give her an ounce of license. And as a mother to a level 3 child, I don't understand her actions after this. Okay? I just want to make that abundantly clear. So then the channel changes to like Huxley's language skills and getting him up to date. Not up to date, but like getting him, like, I don't want to use the word adaptive, but like getting him the things that he needs, the resources that he needs, all those things, right? And then they really step it up for a year, Hannah says. They really step it up for a year. And then the last video they post is a sweet moment of Hux and Maya going through sign language. You really see this deep connection, and then you don't see him again. Okay? They start hiding Huxley. Fans start to notice. Fans start to comment. And Micah's deleting the comments about where's Huxley. And as you know, as Sophie stated in this documentary, when you start deleting comments, you're hiding something. And then fans notice in James' YouTube channel that Huxley car seat is gone. And then something suspicious, Sophie says, happens with their videos. And then Hannah confirms it. And then in April of 2020, all the videos of Huxley are private. You can't click on them. You can't watch them. And that's weird behavior. And Micah and James declined to comment. I know they did do a video, but I just wanted to make sure that we state after all this stuff when they were like kind of told to, which is in episode 3. But that is where we are. I'm just going to say again, as a mom with a special needs child, I don't understand the logic. My son has the same diagnosis without ADHD. I don't understand the logic. I don't understand doing that. And that's all I'll share on his story. I don't share the rest of that on YouTube or on social media because it's not my story to tell. But I don't understand as a mother how you could do any of the things Micah and James have done. And that is episode 2. We'll talk more in episode 3 about the whole thing. But yeah, so that is episode 2. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you all next time.